There's three things that you need to do if you want to break your income plateau and make more money than you've ever made in your life. I think that a lot of online trainers, what they end up doing is they just end up spinning their wheels. Like they want to make more money and they want to change more people's lives, but for some reason they feel like they're just stuck in a rut. And they're just never able to break their income ceiling. What is going on, Facebook? So I'm coming at you live with today's episode of Change Lives, Make Money. This is the Online Trainer Podcast. So part of my commitment to growing this podcast is I'm doing one episode every single day for the foreseeable future. So from Monday to Friday, I'm going to be doing one episode. So today's podcast is going to be how to break your income plateau and make more money than you ever have in your life. So I feel like this is a really good conversation for a lot of online trainers that are kind of stuck and plateaued and they're not sure exactly what they need to do to grow. And something that I've been really focused on over the last few years is like always increasing the amount of money that I'm making. And it's not like, obviously like life isn't about money, but I think that money is a really good like unit of measurement in terms of like your personal growth, because you have to stretch and reach in order to make more money. So today's episode is going to be all about how to break your income plateau and make more money than ever. What's up? What's up, Brady? What's up, Linda? So we got 6 people tuning in. We're going to go live. If you guys, oh, thank you. We got some love here. I love this. So we're about to go live and I'm just going to record it. So 3, 2, 1, let's get it. What is going on, online trainers? Today's episode is all about how to break your income plateau and make more money than you ever have in your life. I think this is a really important topic to talk about because I think that a lot of people aren't really money conscious and they're not thinking about, you know, what do I need to do to make more money? And I think that a lot of people are stuck in the same place in terms of their income and they're not able to grow beyond that place. So I want to be talking about what people are doing wrong in terms of their money mindset. And I'm going to be giving you guys some specific action steps in this podcast so you guys can grow, make more money, and change more people's lives as online fitness coaches. So I think that there are really 3 negatives and 3 downsides to not having a positive mindset. And the first thing is that you are going to be stuck in a rut. Like if you're not conscious of your money mindset and you're not implementing some of the things that I'm talking about in this podcast, what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you're stuck and you can't grow beyond your level of income. And I think that a lot of online trainers, what they end up doing is they just end up spinning their wheels. Like they want to make more money and they want to change more people's lives, but for some reason they feel like they're just stuck in a rut. And they're just never able to break their income ceiling. And I think that not even a lot of online trainers aren't even aware that they have an income ceiling. So all of these things lead to you just doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. So understanding this small adjustment that I'm going to be talking about in this podcast is going to allow you to get constant, never-ending growth. I'm talking about being able to not have plateaus. I'm talking about being able to burst through your plateaus and being able to like move beyond and expand and grow and reach instead of feeling stuck and stagnant. And I want you guys to be able to grow beyond your income ceiling. After implementing all the things we're going to talk about in this specific episode, I want you to be able to expand and grow beyond your income ceiling. So, my online trainers, I actually want to talk about what I used to do wrong in terms of my money mindset. So, over the last few years, my business has progressively grown. And I'm happy to say that every single month that my business is existing, especially in the last year, every single month our income has grown. Every single month. And I want to talk about before that started happening, what I was doing wrong. And I feel like this is going to be relatable to a lot of online fitness coaches, is a lot of people just have super unrealistic goals. Like if you're making $3,000 a month right now and you set your income goal at $20,000 a month, like I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just not going to happen because we have to adjust. It's not only setting a goal, but we also have to adjust our mindset. So if we say to ourselves, if we're making 3K and we say, I'm going to make 20K a month, but we don't actually believe that we can make that kind of money. Like if we don't believe that we can make 20K a month, we're not actually going to put the necessary action steps into accomplishing that goal because in the back of our minds, we don't believe it's possible for us anyways. And so I think the biggest thing that I used to do was I used to set these like super unrealistic goals, which led me not to do the things that I needed to do to break my income ceiling. So if you're an online fitness coach, like you've got to be realistic with yourself. And I know that you've watched a lot of like The Secret and they're like, don't be realistic and blah, blah, blah. But like we live in the real world where like magic is cool. But I want to talk to you guys about practical action steps that you can take to grow your income as an online fitness coach. And one of the things that will hold you back 1000% is being unrealistic with your goals. So if you don't actually believe that you can make the amount of income that you're like setting for yourself, then you're not going to do the things that you need to do in order to break that income ceiling. Okay, so here are the 3 things. I'm going to give you guys 3 practical action steps that you guys can take immediately so that you can start to see results like I've seen in my business. So For those of you guys that don't know my story, here's a quick little backstory. 5 years ago, it was like $500 a month, and then I was like a part-time thing, and then I started focusing on growth. So then I was like, okay, I want to make 2K a month, then I want to make 3K a month, then I want to make 5K a month, then I want to make 7K a month, then I want to make 10K a month. And over the course of my online fitness journey, over the course of like, it basically took me 2 years to kind of get to that point where I was able to make 10K. But once I hit 10K a month, I maintained that, and my income grew for forever. So it's been growing since it hit 10K a month. So here are 3 things that you need to do in order to break your income plateau and make more money than you've ever made in your life. So the first thing, and I want to talk about practicality. So I'm not going to give you guys some like hoodoo voodoo like magic stuff, because I'm into like, you know, setting goals and believing in yourself, and that's cool. But if you're sitting there praying and wishing, it's just not going to fucking happen. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to make more money than you've ever made in your life is you need to calculate the most amount of money you've ever made in a month. That's step number 1. Is figure out what your current income ceiling is. Guys, we have this thing. I'm trying to remember what book I read this in. I think it was Rich Dad Poor Dad. But we have this thing called a financial thermostat. Ed Mylett talks about this. He talks about a financial thermostat, and a financial thermostat basically states that in our heads we have a certain level of income that we're used to making. And if we start breaking more than that level of income, we will do whatever we can to get back to our financial thermostat. So essentially, we already have a certain level of income that we're capable of making and that we believe is possible for ourselves. So the first way to figure out what your financial thermostat is set at is figure out the most amount of money you've ever made in one single month. That's it. Figure it out. And that includes like any past jobs that you've had. That includes like if you've been an online trainer and working at another job. But you need to figure out what is the most amount of money that you've ever made in 1 month, okay? So that's step number 1. Then once you figure out step number 1, your goal is to beat that by 10%. If you know the most amount of money you've ever made in a month is $5,000, then your goal this next month is to make $5,500. Because if you do that, if you break your income ceiling, that's gonna build the confidence for you to start setting bigger goals. So step number 1 is you need to figure out what's the most amount of money you've ever made a month, and then you need to beat that by 10%. So that becomes your goal. So if you made $5,000 in a month and that's the most money you've ever made, then what you need to do is you need to set the goal to break that by 10%, and that's going to allow you to start smashing some more barriers. So that's step number 1. Calculate the most money you've ever made in a month, beat that goal by 10%. Okay, so step number 2, and this is really important. So we're online fitness coaches here that are all listening to this podcast. How many of us have ever had a client set a goal, and then they fail at it? Or we'll meet somebody that has a New Year's resolution to lose 20 pounds, and then all of a sudden they just like within the first 2 weeks they've forgotten about it. That happens to a lot of people, and that happens to people as online fitness coaches as well. You're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, Brian told me to break my income ceiling by 10%, so I'm gonna make $5,500 a month. You say that out loud once and then you forget about it. And the biggest reason that people don't accomplish their goals isn't because they're not capable, it's because they forget about it. So the second thing you need to do is you need to stay target focused. Most people set goals and they forget about it. I don't do that. So part of my journey that you guys might know and might not know is when I became a professional fitness model and I won first place and then I won my pro card. The way that I became a professional fitness model is I set that target. I told everyone. I was like, guys, watch this. I'm going to become a professional fitness model. I told everyone. I told the world. I told my family. I told my friends. And then I stayed target focused. And when I say target focused, I knew exactly what I want. I put first place on like sticky notes all over my house, everywhere. It was on my fridge, it was on my pantry, it was everywhere. It was on like by my bedside. I changed my background on my phone to say first place. I changed my computer background so that every single place, I put sticky notes in my car. Like that's how obsessed I was. So that every single place that I went, I was reminded of what my goal is. Because you're gonna feel days where you're not gonna be motivated. You're gonna feel days where you wanna slack off. You're gonna feel days where you don't wanna do something. But when you stay target focused, which means you know exactly what you want and you're gonna do whatever it takes, when you go to eat that cookie, you see first place, right? So in the online training language, when you go to slack off and you don't wanna post, look at your income goal and you're like $5,500. When you wanna bail on that sales call because you're just not feeling it, you look at your phone background and it says $5,500. And you stay target focused. Most people don't accomplish their goals not because they're not capable, but it's because they forget about their target. And I make sure that that never happens with me. So when I set my income goals, which are always stretched by at least 10%, When I set those goals, I'm staying target focused. I know exactly what I want and I'm not gonna let anything get in the way. And when I feel like slacking off and I feel like being lazy and I feel like sleeping in, I look at my target and I'm like, I can't. This is a mission for me. So stay target focused. So step number 1, calculate the most amount of money you've ever made in a month and beat that by 10%. Step number 2, stay target focused. Don't just set your goal and forget about it. You need to set your goal and constantly remind yourself of exactly what you want. And the third thing, and this is super important, and I feel like this is another thing that most people don't do, and this is something that I'm really good at, is you have to do and review. Which means if you set, let's say it's October and you're like, I'm gonna make $5,500 a month in October, and you set that as your goal. You get to the end of the month, if you look at your goals and you need to figure out how much money you made, if you look at your goals and you're like, I only made $3,200, that means you have to analyze your process and realize that you're doing something wrong. Like if you set an income goal and then you don't hit it, you're doing something wrong. And if you go into the next month doing the same things that you did last month, you're gonna get the same results. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So you can't go into the next month expecting to break your income plateau if you're doing the exact same things that you did last month. So you have to analyze your process and you have to do something different. You have to study more, you have to learn more, you have to hire a mentor, you have to hire a different mentor. You have to do something different. Because if you change up your behavior and you adjust your behavior, you're gonna get closer to your goals. So do and review. You have to analyze what you're doing. You can't just do the same thing over and over again. It's gonna lead to the same results. So in summary, you guys, there's 3 things that you need to do if you wanna break your income plateau and make more money than you've ever made in your life. The first thing is you need to figure out what's the most amount of money I've ever made in my life. So go look at like all of your incomes. And the easiest way to do this is pull your bank statements. Go to your online banking, download all your e-statements, and then like go through your e-statements and figure out like, okay, like what's the most amount of money I've ever made in a month. Second thing you need to do is you need to set the goal of, figure out the income goal and then, or the income that most amount of money you've ever made in a month, and then set 10% higher. Once you set 10% higher, then you need to burn that into your brain. So phone background, computer screen, on your iPhone, on your iPad, in your car, everywhere. You need to constantly remind yourself of what your goal is and you need to stay target focused. And the third and final thing is if you go through the month and you don't hit your income goal, you need to realize that you're doing something wrong and you need to analyze your process. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing month after month, year after year, and not getting the same results, but expecting something different. You're not gonna get different results if you're doing the exact same thing, so you have to change it up and you have to do something different. So guys, this is the Online Trainer Podcast. This is Change Lives, Make Money. If you're listening to this podcast and you're getting a ton of value, I would absolutely love it if you implemented some of the strategies that I'm telling you. Every single time I show up to this podcast, I do my absolute best to give you the most amount of value. So I absolutely love it when listeners of this podcast like do something and they like actually get results and then they message me. Like that makes me super happy. So if you're listening to this podcast, the takeaway, go download a bunch of your e-statements, figure out what the most amount of money you've ever made in a month is, and set your goal 10% higher, all right? So thank you so much for listening, guys. This is the Online Trainer Podcast. My name is BMarkFit. I am your host. I am your mentor. So if you got some value, I would love it if you went to iTunes, rated me 5 stars, and dropped a review. Those people that do that and screenshot this and put this in their story, that they're listening to the Online Trainer Podcast, in the month of October, I'm gonna be giving away $1,000 cash to one lucky listener. So all you gotta do, go into your story, share it up, say that you're listening to the Online Trainer Podcast, and I'm gonna give you the opportunity to win $1,000 cash. So thank you so much for listening, guys. This is BMarkFit, your host, your mentor, and I'm signing off. Peace. What up, squad? So that was the Online Trainer Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was how to make more money than you ever made in your life. So there's a bunch of you guys tuning in. We got a bunch of viewers. So what was your number 1 takeaway from today's live stream? Ian, thank you for tuning in, brother. Brady, you're always tuning in. You're digging the content. I like it. You're digging the content. So what was your number 1 takeaway from today's podcast? I would absolutely love to know. If you guys wanted to drop your comments below, that would be amazing. I would love to hear from you. So we're gonna be officially launching the podcast in, it's gonna be tomorrow actually, which is crazy. So starting tomorrow, all these episodes are gonna be available on iTunes, which I'm so freaking excited about. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. So if you're listening to this and you're getting a ton of value, you're gonna be able to access podcasts by me consistently and regularly on iTunes. So share it out to your social media, tell people that you're watching this and tell people that you're tuning in. And in the month of October, I'm gonna give away $1,000 cash to one of my listeners. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you have the best day of your entire life and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.